Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and it's been a while, but Mr. Nate Newton is sitting next to me in the studio today.
Star of the show.
Nate,
back,
you,
bro.
Dude, I was going to say that, but thank you for doing it anyway. How are you, my friend?
Oh, hanging in there, man. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks since I've been in here. A little bit of a scheduling conflict and whatnot, but back on track now. And fucking really excited to talk to our guest here today. He's been on before. We're gonna kind of
back in the day,
2 fucking years ago, almost to the date. But we have Mr. Deryk Garrett from Hot Shot Welding in. Deryk, how are you, buddy?
Good to be back. You've been gone for 2 weeks. I think I've been gone for 102 weeks.
Yeah.
You were on podcast number 58. And
yeah, I was right after Nick Bezades, which is a hard act to follow.
Which is funny because Nick's going to be on next week. So
yeah.
At least you beat him to the punch this time, you know?
Yeah, dude, I got to bring the heat today.
Yeah, be on your A game.
Yeah. Top that shit, Nick.
Yeah. Well, Nate, you've been talking, for a while about wanting to get back in touch with some of these guys that we had conversations with really early on of this journey. And, Deryk was one of those early guys. And it's actually been pretty cool because you just text me like, hey, Garrett's going to be on this date. And then text me like, hey, Nick's going to be on this day. And you're just lining them up.
I'm essentially the producer of the show.
I mean, and the star. How do you manage?
It's just fucking just glowing,
quite
bro.
The juggling act.
Oh,
good Lord.
Yeah.
But I really liked the idea because the last 2 years, if you look at 21, we were in the second year of the pandemic, and and then kind of moving in out of that. So, Deryk, I'm curious, like, what has been going on for the last 2 years? Where are you now? That's different. That's better. That's worse.
Been 2 years. I'm a little older. I start doing the same shit, different day. Another day in paradise.
Yeah. All the good old cliches of being a gray beard.
I can't stand how much people laugh at that shit because I say it all the time because they're like, "Hey Nate, how you doing?" And I'm like, I don't have time for this shit. Like, what the fuck do you want?
What can I do for you?
Yeah.
That's
Cut the small talk, bitch.
Yeah. That's how I navigate the conversation. Somebody will start and I'm like, hey, what can I do for you?
Right.
Like, right to it.
Yeah.
We are same shit, different day. We're deeper in it. We're got our areas a little more figured out of where we're wanting to go, where we're at currently, kind of what we're leaving behind in the name of certain specific areas that we don't really bid. We just kind of take what comes our way, and certain customers that didn't really meet our expectations. I heard you guys talk about, firing customers, which sounds absurd until you have to do it. And then it's just like, it makes total sense.
I should have done that a year ago.
Yeah. So, the years start stacking up and you start realizing, you're kind of starting to get it a little more figured out. You're not necessarily figuring out, you're not realizing like I've got it figured out. You're just realizing that 2 years ago you didn't know a fucking thing.
Yeah.
And you thought back then you did, and it's like, wow.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever like sat and been like, oh, now I've got it figured out. Now this is the turning point. I just keep looking back and like, God, I can't believe I sent that to a customer 4 years ago. I can't believe I sent that fucking email.
This is why we don't sleep at night. Because you're laying there fucking staring at your ceiling going, oh, motherfucker.
Well, I think there's something important to be said about maintaining that level of modesty when growing and developing, because the moment that you think you've arrived, you're in trouble. And the seduction of success creeps in. And then you start thinking that you can just kind of, rinse, lather, repeat the processes that you've been doing and not evolving, not growing, not evaluating what was going on a year or two ago. And then you create that sense of stagnation. And then because your ego's in the way, now you start blaming everything and everyone for the problems. And so I think it's good to, approach the business with the sense it's like, I had a grasp. I knew what I knew then, but looking back, now, I didn't know shit.
Right. And it makes it easier for us to look at our positions that we're in now in that same light, right? Like we get to be like, I think I know what I'm doing, but I probably fucking don't, you know? And it makes navigating this shit a little easier, in my opinion.
Well, it's better to look at it from a more experienced position, too. I would hate to be like, where was 3 years ago? I was doing so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like be like a pile of shit now. And like, I didn't learn anything. I got, what did you say, Josh? The I don't know. I wasn't listening. Like curse of, like the illusion of success.
Oh, the illusion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way of phrasing it. Where like if you get complacent, if you stop being hungry, if you stop going after stuff, the rinse rather repeat method, and then everything you do, you see the consequences of 6-9 months later. So you turn in a bid now, and it comes in 6 months, and you go, oh shit, we got that job.
Well, complacency in my opinion, is a disease, and I think once that complacency sets in, what it takes to remove that is not just a simple decision to not be complacent anymore. So when that complacency sets in, you have to unfuck yourself. It's a complete overhaul, and you have to be humble enough, again, back to being modest, is like, all right, these are the things that I've been doing wrong. Mm-hmm. And this is what's got me here. This is a result of the decisions that I've made. Now I've got to start making better decisions to make a 6-month or a year-long or 2-year-long plan to get myself out of this.
You gotta hope you got enough time. That's the hard part, because let's say you course correct and you're like 3 months from bankruptcy. Well, fucking whatever is gonna happen in 6 months doesn't do shit for you.
Right.
Start stripping or waiting tables or something.
Or both at the same time.
Both at the same time.
New business plan. Let me write this down.
Deryk, how many guys you got on your team now?
Let's see. So we have a full-time estimator now, which is a big deal. I'm sure we'll get into that. That's
exciting.
It's like Nate and Matt working together, just kind of sharing some of the like top end responsibilities. I'm sure that you can relate to being able to hand off just something to someone so you can go do what you need to do,
right?
Instead of being the guy for everything. So we got him. I've got 5 guys in the field as of now. Today's March 1st as of recording this. So hopefully by the time this airs, we've got 1 or 2 more. We've got the workload for several more. Just trying to be selective right now. We had a conversation the other day after interviewing a few people that we weren't extremely impressed with, that we're not in a position right now that we absolutely need to get to 10 guys. So let's take our time and get the absolute
I wish I had
killers.
a notepad. I got so many things I want to talk about.
Dude, just interrupt me.
I'm going to, because you said something and I don't want to skip past it. You said that you did some interviews and they didn't impress you. What is it that would impress you? What is it that you're looking for?
Well, age has nothing to do with it. So I don't want to beat up like young guys, because I feel like what could be said as a negative interviewee, someone that's looking for the wrong message could say, oh, what's wrong with kids today? But, typically it's younger guys that are hungrier and wanting to get into the industry and learn and grow and get in with a company that they see a future with and succeed. But you, on the flip side of that coin, kind of see the stereotypical Gen X, Gen Z, or not Gen X, Gen Z, the millennial attitude of kind of give me everything and I do nothing. And so if someone doesn't come into an interview like hungry, wearing, I don't want safety glasses and a vest and a hard hat. You're walking into an office, just hungry, just wearing steel-toed boots, wearing what you would wear, dress for the job you want. Mm-hmm. So like wearing what you would wear to work, and you come in and, maybe you just got off your shift at another job and like, I'm really looking to improve my situation, or you haven't worked in a month, but you still get dressed for work, and you come in and say, I really want a job, and, I'm willing to show up and be hungry, and here's all the things that, I'm willing to learn and do. And, we kind of tell them like, we always kind of like do these interviews where we tell them like, here's what we're about. Now, do you have any questions? And we're kind of like waiting for them to say the right things.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sometimes guys get nervous. Sometimes guys, you know, don't really like sell themselves very well. But usually by the time they walk out of there, it's typically either me alone or me and my main guy, Carlos, that are doing the interviews. They walk out and it's not even like vocal. We just look at each other and we're just like no.
Yeah.
Dude. Like, and we'll just walk back in the shop, be like, let's keep looking.
So, kind of a funny addition to that. We had a fucking lady brought her kid in and was basically trying to orchestrate the interview for the kid. And the kid was just kind of standing there. And she's like, well, he's really good at this. And I'm like, we're like, ma'am, the simple fact that you are in this room right now means that this kid is not going to work here.
Yeah. Are you going to punch his cock?
Right. Yeah.
Are you going to bring him to work and like introduce him to the rest of the crew? Hey, this is my son. You know, he's great. He'll get along with all you guys. Like,
Timmy, say hi.
Dude, our crew's going to beat that kid up in a heartbeat.
Dude, we were going through a hard time in 2020, and we had a job that was, I mean, the best way to describe it is every single day we went out there and like kicked ass, hung fucking, you know, too excited. We had 1 million pounds of steel in the air. Everybody was, you know, putting out 1,000 welds a day. It was great. But the GC was just kicking our dick in every day. And so I would tell the guys like, hey, you know, I'm the one going to the meetings. I'm really trying to be the buffer between us and the GC. Don't let this shit get to you. I said, don't show up. I said, everybody knew that kid growing up that his mom drives him to baseball practice. He doesn't want to be here. She's saying, you're going to do a sport, you know, and he plays that way. He gets on the field and he doesn't want to be there. He just knows that he has to be there till his mom picks him up. And I'm like giving this speech and like, you know, as like a leader or a foreman or a supervisor or anyone, you like try to like, you're trying to in some way, shape or form, like inspire your guys in the morning. Like everyone's finished their coffee or their cigarette or whatever. And like, yeah, this is what we're going to do today. And so my speech that day was like, don't be the guy that like your fucking mom drops you off at baseball practice. And one of my best guys, in his defense, like one of my best guys, he was, he had recently wrecked his car and his wife had been dropping him off every single day. And so like everyone's looking at him. I was like, I was like, not you, Tim. This isn't about you.
Your wife's different than your mom.
Yeah. I was like, just the fact that your wife's picking you up and dropping you. Like, oh, wait, this isn't about you. He's like, thanks, guys.
You know, he didn't hear about the end of that for at least a week, you know?
Yeah. Well, they don't always go, the whole like motivational go team doesn't always go as planned, right?
Yeah. Sometimes rallying the troops drives them off. Yeah.
Well, especially when you go, 60 days straight getting your dick kicked in. That hey,
right.
You guys did great yesterday, but it wasn't enough. They just told me in the office that we got to do more today. Like guys throwing up on like 50-degree roof deck.
Jesus.
Because it's just brutal hot, and then someone's telling you you're not doing enough. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, well, that's like some of those GCs, especially if they're these larger corporate entities. You could have put in the best day's fucking work that they've ever seen, and they're still going to come out and tell you that you're not moving fast enough. You know.
Well, it's sometimes it's to make up their schedule too. It's like just be honest.
Yeah.
Like if you guys are behind schedule and you think your erectors are going to make that up, like
yeah.
We're all my schedule doesn't end when you say it should end because you started after I said it should have started.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll like put the amount of hours that we have for like steel erection into the bid, and then they'll send out their schedule, and I've got like 3 weeks of install in there, and they give us 4 days, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I showed you how many hours. Like, that's not how that works.
Like, come on, Nate.
Yeah.
We know you got us.
They're like, dude, concrete set us back 2 months. I'm like, take that with your fucking concrete guy. I'm not here to fucking push our guys into the dirt for that.
My experience with that is you have someone running the job site. You have a superintendent on the job site. And if you've got 3 weeks of work built in and then you get there and the expectation is 4 days, that tells me a couple things. One, that superintendent is not communicating with the subs at all. There's no relationship with the subs. Two, there's absolutely no look ahead. So every day is ran reactively. So everybody he's just trying to push everybody harder to make up for what he fucked up yesterday. And and 3, there's no expectation.
Right.
There's no clearly defined expectation between the GC and the sub. And I've worked with general contractors, and the way my approach to it is to the superintendents is that the subcontractors are your team.
Yeah. The sooner they figure that out, the fucking better, right?
Well, not just if the subcontractors are like a player on a team, you're going to get a different caliber of coach. And the GC is not the coach to the subs, but basically he's coordinating. He's calling around, making the schedule, supposed to be communicating all that. If a professional contractor that's used to dealing with professional general contractors, like Nate goes to work for, we could name a few, but like the big GCs, and you're stepping into a league where you're like, I got to step my shit up. And then you're on a job for a few months and you're like, just on top of it, going to the meetings every day, turning in your daily reports. Like, man, I mean, you're just sharp. And then like, we got a little slow period after this. You're going to go work for like Joe Blow GC company. And it's like a coach. It's like if you're like a pro ball player and you're like, playing pro ball, and then you go like play like AA for a couple months, and you're like, the coaching here is just like, I mean, we've tried to like up our caliber, our quality, our communication, everything of being a subcontractor to work with better GCs. So when we work for the like, I was bitching about it to my wife yesterday, like the amateurs, like these guys are like, they're nice guys, nothing wrong with them, but they're fucking amateurs.
Do you find yourself kind of trying to coach them along? Like after you've already dealt with all that other shit, you're trying to help out that smaller guy? Like,
bro, like if you're treating your other subs the way you're treating me, you guys are setting yourself up for a lawsuit. You're setting yourself up to have to explain to your client why the project is behind because you're not sending out fucking schedules. You're not, you know what I mean? And I'm not like, I don't know, like everybody's got their own problems. I'm not trying to bitch about, all of my problems, but it's just that I communicate these things to them and I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to do your job. I'm not trying to step on your toes. I'm not going to call your boss and say you're doing a shitty job. That's not what I'm doing here. It's that I want to be successful on your project to make myself look good and make you look good to whomever that you're trying to look good. But I can't fucking help you if you're not doing the absolute bare minimum basics. And if you can't do your job from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, don't expect me to come in from fucking 5 to 9 Saturday through Sunday and make up for your shit.
Right.
So what I'm telling you right now is that we're 5 weeks out from doing your project. If you get your shit together now, I promise I will be here and I will deliver and I will make sure that you look good, we look good, everybody's successful. If it feels like I'm fucking bombarding you with, requests for updates on this or, like delivery dates or whatever, it's because I'm trying to plan to be successful. And if you're like threatened by that, then you're not ready to work with us. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's very just like, fuck, dude, like we've raised our standards and these guys haven't.
Yeah. I mean, like even just looking at some of the outfits that we started with and, we all kind of started off in we were all kind of different levels, but we all knew where each other was. And the guys that we still work with have 5, 6, 7x their revenue. And there's all these new systems in place and there's all these new people. But then there's other guys that, like we would work on some of their equipment sometime doing bucket overhauls or hard facing. And it's like the motherfucker is still just 2 guys in a backhoe cutting house pads. And like they haven't done anything. They haven't moved any further. So when I deal with, on my end, I'm the administrative side. When I deal with the higher ups of all these larger outfits, and then I got to go talk back to the guy that, we were just looking for some pickup work or he had an emergency and try and orchestrate something with him. It's like we speak 2 different languages now. Like I can't grasp what he needs and he can't grasp what I need.
It's great that we're doing this 2 years from the last one because it's, I'm going to ask you guys, do you feel like there's been a shift since we came out of COVID? So pretty much like almost exactly this, I guess it's debatable when we came out of COVID, depending on who you're asking. But like, let's just say mid 2021, everyone starts calling bullshit, right? Like, we're not doing this shit anymore. We're either taking your vaccination and then do whatever the fuck we want because we did what you told us to, and we played by the rules, and now we're going to do whatever we want. Or the other side of that, we haven't wanted to listen to your shit anyways, and now enough people are calling bullshit. We're not. So we came out of COVID, and that attitude, I think, carried into the trades. And it's really it's been harder for me to deal with GCs, subs under us, anybody since COVID. It's like everybody like survived the fucking Civil War, and they're so proud of themselves that like, you know, like it'll get done. You know what I mean? Like, I fought in the war. Like, you're not gonna tell me to come pour my concrete today. It's like, well, you're fucking supposed to pour your concrete today. Like, it's just this like complacency that I'm not really sure if I'm just starting to notice or if it's like actually palpable. Like, have you guys seen that out there?
I mean, I have seen some of it, especially with the larger GCs, but like this kind of anti-authoritarian narrative has kind of carried through with some of it. And like the GCs get beat up by other people, not by us, but it's changed the way that they interact with us. Like the GCs are fucking walking off jobs. You ain't going to fucking tell me what to do. Shit like that. And then they're like, dude, they completely changed their tune when it comes to talking to me. It's like, dude, when have we ever not shown up when we fucking told you we were going to be there? Like we've never not done that. And they're like, oh, well, good. Yeah, good. I'm like, no, that's not how that works. But
Josh, from a coaching point of view, you're always just getting people approaching you that are hungry. So it's like kind of everyone that comes at you has like a similar, just like in some way, shape, or form has a similar mindset. So like,
you're right.
Have you been immune to like seeing this shift, or do you still feel like it like?
You are correct. When the people I work with are hungry, they're wanting to develop structure, success, teams. But what I am seeing is what's still to come. What happened in the skilled trades the moment that we were branded essential? And the market supported that. See, we've been working in an era with a false sense of success. In the last 5 years, 6 years, anybody with a mediocre skill set can buy tools, a truck, and a logo and have work. And often people, that's how they define success, is they have work for tomorrow. So what I see hasn't arrived yet. And what I'm seeing is that there's going to be a massive shift. There's going to be a lot of companies go away. And now I don't have a crystal ball, but because of that, these companies have put security in this false success, this false sense of success. They're betting on that to carry them forward. And because the market is now shifting, the interest rates are going up, COVID is over, the essential game is gone. There's going to be a shift where a lot of these people that don't have structure, don't have systems, don't have leadership, don't have market awareness, don't have good relationships, they're going to go away. And it's going to create this almost this paradigm shift in the market with the companies that have their shit together are going to have a tremendous opportunity to take over.
Well, I think a lot of these companies also, especially since the last time we talked, everybody has had quote unquote viable excuses for shit. They've been able to say, oh, it's COVID. That's why we can't do it. Oh, nobody wants to work. That's why we can't get enough people out here. Oh, the materials are back ordered and this and that. So they've had all these excuses and people bought the excuses, right? So they were just like, oh, okay, yeah, well, we'll get to it when we can. There's nothing we can do. Meanwhile, the people that are really front running were out there like, fuck that. We're going to deal with this right now. We're going to sort some shit around. But there's a lot of people that have built their businesses hiding behind excuses along the way.
So we're currently seeing the wave of people that are still making excuses, and Josh is seeing the people that are coming in the next wave. Mm-hmm. So basically the people that are coming to you are bitching about the complacent wave in front of them.
So it's not about them bitching about the complacent wave in front of them. What I see, so with my interactions, is once we start developing structure in their company and building a team, establishing systematic operations, and developing leaders, there's one thing that I hear from every single person I work with. Well, nobody else in my area does this. Yeah, exactly. And so what that's going to do is, and I believe this, and if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't teach it. I believe that is going to set them up to have sustainability. It's not, I'm not going to say it's fail proof, but having that sustainability. I mean, one of the things that I teach is like, you need to have at least 3 months of operating expenses put back. You need to have, do you know what 90 days, 3 months of operation of having that put back, the stress that alleviates, the opportunity that creates to go into another market or widen your lane. But
or just say no when you need to.
Yes, just saying no. So, to me, it's not about, I don't look at it as like, oh, they're really, they're bitching about the complacency. I think some of them do understand that, okay, this wave, we're on the backside of this curve. We're coming down, and they are starting to see it. And they're like, okay, if I'm going to continue moving forward and continue growing and going to get market awareness and create that sustainability, I realize that I can't do what I've been doing. I have to adjust and course correct, learn new ways, and really now go from owning a job to owning a business to building a brand and developing as a leader.
So I basically said, I was bitching to you, right? You go, no, they're enlightened. So that's a coach right there. I go, hey, everyone coming to bitch, everyone's bitch at you, right? You go, oh no, they're smart. They see this coming.
I mean, but do you know how many people that are in those positions? Yeah, they're not going to go out and seek out help. They're not going to see the fact that this fucking gravy train is coming to a halt. Yeah. They're just they're going to come up with the excuses and bitch about it. Fucking, I lost my goddamn business in the crash of 24. Fucking, fuck this shit. Never doing it again.
Young, hungry, ambitious business owners too, that recognize, like what Josh is saying, no one in my area does what I do. They're realizing that they're about to step into a very, very huge market that's an untapped market, or the ones that are currently tapping that market are becoming complacent, are riding on the excuses of COVID or whatever other excuses they're finding. And these guys that are hungry right behind them they're going to eat their lunch.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of, but I love seeing it though, because I know that when I show up on a job and when we show up on a job and somebody has hacked the fuck out of it and we got to go in there and fix it. And like, my heart goes out to the clients. I'm like, dude, these fucking poor bastards, they were looking for the cheapest shit. Well, that's what they got, unfortunately. Yeah. But somebody came in there and took advantage of them, just put dog shit in all over the place. You got base plates that are crooked and shear tabs that are fucking 3 inches off. And you're like, who the fuck fabricated this? How did it make it out of your shop like that?
Well, and Deryk, I appreciate you calling me out on like being not the devil's advocate, but the positive advocate, because it's how I look at things, and because I think there's leverage in that, and the way you were saying, it's like, did that contractor intentionally take advantage of that client? And I think there's a lot of cases no, and that's what I mean. Like this market has created a false sense of success because people go out and they perform at this substandard level. They are rewarded for it. They are compensated for that behavior and for that performance. Yeah. And unfortunately, the result is that GC or that client will go, well, I'll never use those guys again. And that is the repercussion. That is the consequence. So that moron is allowed to go back out in the market again tomorrow and do the exact same thing
to somebody else.
Yeah. Because he's operating, or he or she, that individual is operating at a level that they have continued to be rewarded for. And then companies like ours go in and clean up the mess.
Whether it's intentional or not, they see what they can get away with. And then they either repeat or worsen their behavior on the next one because, like Nate said, like Garrett Fox still got paid. Like, dude, I have a 5-year-old, so like he's always like testing me of like, well, if he gets away with something that one day, he's gonna either do that same behavior or worse the next day, and see if he gets away with it. That's whether it's intentional, whether it's malice, wherever that's coming from. Maybe it's not even like the goal of the company. Maybe the company's mission statement is this big, proud statement about quality and stuff, but their crew is getting away with a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. The leadership, the like supervision slipping, and they're gonna fuck it up for everybody. They're gonna fuck it up for the whole company.
Yeah. Well, you give them an inch, they take a mile, right? I mean, that's how it goes.
Well, it's people. It's people, because there are people that would do that would take 1 inch each day until it's a mile, and then there's people that would step up and say, like, dude, this is getting out of control.
Right.
Like this is not who we are.
Yeah.
This is not who the company that we work for, what they expect of us. And if they meet, if they see the crew going to shit and the company's doing nothing about it, those people are going to leave.
Yep.
Because, like, let's say you have a high-performing individual that's unrecognized, just a raw talent that's somewhere deep in the ranks, and he wants to do his best every single day, and he's on a crew that doesn't give a fuck, and he shows up and they say, like, dude, yesterday we got away with this. We're going to see if we can get away with more today. That might last for a minute, but that dude, if he sticks to who he is and what he's all about and wants to improve himself and his position and, future and all that, he's gonna leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants
so
to be
then
part of
what the company is left with is just a bunch of dirtbags that, like, let's see how much we get away with today. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, that's like us showing up to site and there's dudes that have 40 stuffed in the snow on the site for when they get off, and it's like, dude, what series of events led up to the point where you feel comfortable doing that on a fucking job site? Yeah.
It's amateurs. It's why in the last couple of years we've, whether in real life or on paper or anything, just trying to work with a higher caliber customer raises everybody on your team. Like, you get on a job and it's like, hey, this customer does not fuck around. You tell everybody, like, the morning meeting, the first day you're out there, like, we're going to walk in here. We're going to do exactly what we're supposed to do, PPE'd up, like safety'd up, like paperwork, everything. They aren't fucking around. So it just sets the tone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You don't get that speech and then, like, so where should I stuff my 40 in the snow?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's expecting a higher caliber, performing at a higher caliber. It's just, there's no room for that shit.
I like that you bring that point up too, because that's one of those things that I've really enjoyed about this company is watching how our crews have adapted to us interacting with higher end clientele. Like, our GCs have gotten stronger and bigger, and they're bringing us into all these crazy places and all these new adventures, and the crew is like pumped on it, and they're stepping up to the plate every fucking time. When it's like, when I think about like Grant 5 years ago, I'm like, dude, he was just a dirty little fucker rolling around in the dirt all the time, and now he's just this badass fucking tradesman. I love seeing
when you see the guys get pumped on it, you're like, it's kind of like you're excited to tell them, like, hey, we got this job. Like, that when we went out and walked and you helped me pull a couple measurements for that bid, like, we got that job. You're like, fuck yeah. And they go tell somebody else in the shop, like, dude, we're about to start this job. You know that one I was telling you about? And you're like, dude, when you see the guys pumped like that, like, they're ready to fucking perform. Yeah. Like, it's just like they're in the bullpen. They're ready to fucking go.
I think something business owners need to understand about what you guys are talking about, because I completely agree with you. You raise your standards, then you get to work for higher caliber people. And a typical business owner, their defense is going to be like, well, if I got to work for him, if I got jobs that paid that, I would do that too. And that's just a blame complain attitude. The reality is, you can seek those clients out, but you will only attract the opportunity.
Yeah. You got to perform with those higher performers.
So you can meet those clients, you can talk to those generals, you can talk to those contractors, whatever you want to do. You can seek them out, and I'm a fan of that. I call it the hit list when we talk about the tiers of marketing. Yeah. But you have to understand, you have to elevate yourself to be able to attract that opportunity. You've seen it over the last couple of years for sure. Yep. Deryk, it sounds like you're experiencing the same thing over the last couple of years. When you make that commitment to operate at a different level, you will start attracting those higher quality clients. It's not about, hey, well, we got this job. It's like, no, you attracted that job. Now it's your responsibility to meet that expectation.
Which is is the goal for a business owner from the start, right? Is try to rise to some level comparable to that. But when you see your team do it, that's where it's like, fuck yeah.
I mean, it's like we're doing the right thing. You
now,
feel it. Yeah.
like now we're cooking. Yeah, because seeing like a business owner attitude catch on with a dude that's getting paid hourly, it's like, wow. Like this dude wants it more than me because he's getting paid an hourly wage and I'm the owner and we're acting the same right now. Like this dude fucking wants.
But that's cultural. That's cultural to a company. You pull that out of people. You cultivate that out of people as a leader. Yes, I believe, and I think I talked about this in Operational Captivity, the last one I did by myself. I believe at the end of the day, people have it or they don't. You can't change that wiring in people. But I think as a leader, it's your job to discover whether they have it or not. And when you're going to go through some people and you're going to have hard decisions to make, but when you attract those high caliber people and you lead them correctly, they do take on that owner mentality because they do have ownership in it. They have ownership because their name is on it. They're there to meet a standard. They're there to meet their standard. And it can happen the opposite way too. If you have people like that and you have a chicken shit leader, they will leave. Because when people start outperforming their leader, and I'm not talking about just the craft, but when people start outperforming their leader, that's when they start getting frustrated. That's when they feel like the leadership is complacent now, and they're going to find avenues to leave. So what you're explaining, Deryk, is really a reflection of high-performing leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, doing it yourself is one thing. Passing it on to the guys is, I mean, it's osmosis. Just I don't know. They're soaking it up. Like when they start soaking up that attitude, it's like you're either doing enough of it to John Jonesing them, like they're drinking the Kool-Aid,
Right.
or they're like a high performing individual. They wanted that from the start. They've been waiting for the right place to be, the right person to lead them. That they just soak it up.
I want to shift gears. When did you decide it was the right time to bring on a full-time estimator and relinquish some of those responsibilities?
I've wanted to do it since probably the years get kind of foggy. So I'm going to say like late 17, mid 18. We started getting in the field more. I was managing a couple different sides of the business. It was too much. Dealing with too many customers at once, going out and doing too much on my own. I don't need to detail out what my days look like, but it was too much. Last time we talked, I was going through too much. I was doing too much on my own. And so we had a son. We had one kid at the time, and it was manageable. My wife was, a trooper. And then we were having another boy last April, and dude, my personal time was just fucking nothing. No family time. Trying to be a husband was probably last priority. It was business owner and dad, and then a husband last. And it strains. It definitely, I mean, you see people that are in healthy relationships that are business owners and stuff. They went through a hard time. Or they, made an agreement ahead of time that they figured out how to manage it, how to delegate responsibilities at home. It gets hard. And so we've said, 1,000 times since we hired our full-time estimator that it's like, even though my responsibilities are still great, that, my time is still very consumed, like there will be nights where we're in bed 2-3 nights in a row, like glass of wine, a beer, like watching Netflix at like, dude, our kids go to sleep early. So like, we're like 8:30 in bed and we're like, this is fucking sick. So I'll look over and be like, this is wild. Like a year or like, our estimator, his name's Corey. I'd be like, before I hired Corey, like no way, maybe 1 night a week, 2 nights a week, I'm in bed on time. But like now it's like, it's not that he's working late. It's not that I'm now like, here, take everything. It's that me and him, I was doing the job of 2 people. And now him an experienced person came in, did everything that I was doing on the estimating side, the takeoffs, the emailing engineers, the RFIs back and forth, the material ordering, getting equipment on site for us. He's managing so much of that instead of coming home to 75 urgent emails, I'm coming home to, let's say, 79 emails that every one of them is not just from a customer, but it's Corey's response. Hey, don't worry. Here's the response to that RFI, or he passes along to the engineer. So now I'm just skimming emails to be like, okay, he got that done. He got that done. Every once in a while, I'll send him an email back, just to him and say, hey, this looks great. Thanks for taking care of this. I don't have to do this at fucking 9:00 tonight now, And so when it financially made sense, I hired him and we paid the price for about 3 months. And I told myself, like, give it time, give it time, give it time. It will pay off. His position didn't pay off for at least 90, maybe 120 days. And we were talking about that before we started recording, that like, maybe it was after recording. I don't know. That that your decisions, like smart decisions, dumb decisions, you don't see the result of it for a while. So like I knew hiring him was a smart decision, but we hired him last January. We're a little slow, and it gave me time to train him to kind of how I wanted things done, what his role was going to look like. But for, the first 90 days, it was like, fuck, dude, this is just there's a lot of payroll for not a lot of work coming in. Right. But now, it's great. It's paying off. We've been winning a ton of work, and, I credit a lot of that to him and just managing that side of things, allowing me to have my evenings back.
Would you say that was the most time-consuming part of your job prior to hiring him, was the estimating?
No. It's the one you hate the most. The one that you have to do on your personal time is the one you hate the most. The one you hate the most, if you could hand it off, you're the most grateful for.
Right.
So if I absolutely hated driving and I wanted to make enough money that I could hire someone to drive me around, it's not that driving's the worst part of my day, but if I made enough money to hire a driver, like that feeling of like, fuck, dude, I finally got that driver. You know what I mean? Like, I love driving. I'm always driving.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, trust me, I know.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Every time we talk, you're like, what's up? I'm driving. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, like the estimating became a pain point for me because it was always needing to be in the field, needing to, like, as a business owner, you're always out there trying to help your guys throughout the day. You get home, and it's not that I hate going through the estimating stuff or answering emails, but it was always what was interfering with my personal time. So once I was able to hand that off, getting my personal time back, I was like, this is the best hire ever. Like,
yeah, I would have a hard time. It's hard to do that too, to go out, run your operations in the field all day, and then go try and stick your head into a set of plans that you were already halfway done with the estimating on, and trying to pick that back up and forget about whatever was going on all day. Like that, the mental stress that comes along with that. I mean, all I do is estimating now, or administrative. So I can sit down in front of a plan set and stare at it for 4 or 5 hours and, get all the takeoffs done.
You can do it at 7 a.m. instead of 7 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. And I my favorite time to work on bid sets is 6 a.m. It's an hour for the crew shows up. My phone isn't ringing. The emails aren't going off. Undivided attention straight at this plan set. I get to draft up all my questions and then send them out. And, people are answering whenever they roll in, So, it is, I can totally see that being the greatest pinch point when you're the single owner. Like I'm fortunate enough to have Matt. And I mean, he was the biggest waste of payroll that I had for a long time.
I love you jab him every time. Every time. Never
Dude,
heard to defend
I
himself.
still saw you flinch and look over your shoulder when you said that.
It's standing right behind me, isn't he? Fuck.
Yeah. Get him.
Something that you brought up in that explanation is something that everybody has a difficult time with, and that's the cost before the return on investment. And you knew that you had 90 days of there was no return. It was all cost. Yeah. And we did the same thing. When I brought a salesperson on, if they didn't have any experience, I knew for 6 months they were not going to pay for themselves. Now, when I talk about residential HVAC, it's the numbers or the metrics are significantly different than structural steel. But I knew that going into it. I had that expectation of, okay, we're going to lose money on this position for the first 6 months, but we're going to expedite their training and ability. And if it was somebody that was experienced, then I knew 1 to 2 months max, and that was just an indoctrination to our culture, our systems, our selling processes. They just had to kind of modify what they did that in a way that complemented their skill set. Then they would go out. But having the foresight and the ability to afford the opportunity to bring somebody on and know that, okay, we need to do this in 90 days or less. A lot of people don't have the wherewithal to make that decision and make that investment in the company. And so I think I commend you for that. That's a really, really smart, realistic way to onboard somebody in that position.
Well, when you're new in business, you hire someone when you're desperate and broke. You have too much work, you have no money, and you have zero time. So your interview process, your qualifications, who you're willing to hire, it can fuck up your whole business plan because you're broke, you're out of time, and you need a fucking lifeboat, right? So this is end of 2021. I tell my main guy, dude, we have money, we have time, we're not busy right now. Like, let's hire now. I'll eat the cost until we get busy again. Cause we're never really busy. That lag of like December 15th through January 15th, where I'm screaming, shaking every one of our GCs. Like, I don't give a fuck if it's Christmas. Like, you promised us this work. You know what I mean? Like, my guys have swept the shop every fucking day this week. You know how clean my shop is? So like, there's, like, when you have time and money to spend, not just money to pay bills, but money to spend, you can sit back and breathe and say, we're about to need people. Let's just get them in here. Let's look for the right people. Let's get them in here. Let's pay them when we don't need them so that when we do need them, we have the right people. Because I'm not bragging that I'm in that position now. I'm saying that from experience of being, most of my hiring experience early on was desperate, broke, out of time.
I was just getting ready to ask you.
The GC is saying, you promised us 8 people on site per day. And I'm like, who's got a pulse and a driver's license? Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, that second one's asking for a lot.
Yeah, right.
Oh, bro. Okay, so story time. I've been forwarding some of, I went to Indeed to help me hire because Facebook, Instagram, you can only word of mouth. I mean, there's a few different ways you can hire and you get mixed results, right? Your turnover rate is questionable. Or you're just, the quality of interviewees is questionable. So there's some funnier applicants that I've been sending to some people that would enjoy that type of humor. And one of the guys goes, I'm applying for the job, and he got it on Indeed. He had all the qualifications, but he goes, because I hit like the points on Indeed that say like a make or break thing, where like if you don't have certain qualifications, you're literally like blocked by the website. You can't even apply. So he goes, I've got all the qualifications, blah blah blah. He goes, I got a trusty Ford Ranger. It'll take me all over the Metroplex. I drive that. It was like a Ford Ranger commercial. This guy was going off on his Ford Ranger.
Ford fucking Ranger.
Yeah, he goes, I drive it this many miles a day, blah, blah, and everything was like ever capitalized. There's like a TM above the Ford Ranger. It's like, dude, who is it? But he didn't have a driver's license. I was like, dude.
Oh,
like, Jesus. Yeah, I forgot to list that one as a deal breaker. Like, go work for Ford in their marketing department, dude. You just did a great job on that end.
Walked out of that interview like, damn, dude, maybe I do need a Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
Sold me. I don't need to hire this guy. I need to buy a Ford Ranger. That's all.
I had a guy apply that he was experienced using sizzle lifts. So now I told one of my guys that
sizzle
we will
lift?
exclusively call them sizzle lifts now. Like it's a plate of fajitas.
A fucking sizzle lift. Oh, I love it.
It gets, you gotta laugh,
Mm-hmm.
dude. You gotta laugh every now and then, because if you don't, you'll just go fucking crazy.
Yeah. There's sometimes where, somebody just opens their mouth about something. I can't, like, a couple years ago would have pissed me the fuck off. And now I'm just like, dude, what a fucking moron. Just shake my head and walk off, Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way you got to approach it. You can't fix stupidity. But, hey, so last time we talked, you were also walking away from a different market, which was the fucking truck beds that I was all bent out of shape about. What are you?
I knew you'd find a way to tie that in.
What are you moving away from now?
It's hard because I'm moving away from what I love the most. So I absolutely love pipe welding, pipe fitting, stainless steel, all of that. Yep. I love it, but it's too hard to bid. Mm-hmm. I need to sit down with Thomas Parachute and say, hey, fucking, if I really wanted to go into that market, I would need to find somebody outside of my competition, because nobody around here is going to coach me on how to bid that shit. So right now with like the pipe work, we're only taking what comes our way, which, let's say 4 months out of the year, we're making quite a bit. I mean, we ran a lot of pipe last year that we didn't even have to go bid. It was just, we can do this. And, are you sure this is a really strict qualification? Is it really, stringent test procedure? Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, we can do it. We may look like a bunch of iron workers, but every, one that I'm going to put on this job is perfectly capable of passing this test. And, we do jobs with 0 repairs, and, they all went really well. But going after those jobs is too time consuming, too much of a shift in the way that we bid jobs, too much of a new avenue to send Corey down that he's not in, as experienced in, or me down, because nobody just wants pipe. They want all your pumps. They want all your, isolation pads. They want every valve. They want every bolt kit. I mean, it takes you so much longer to bid a big mechanical system job, heating, cooling, air, cast line, whatever, than just doing structural steel.
Right.
So now we let the companies that are, $1 billion companies be like, oh shit, we need some more welders. And then they call us and we say, yeah, we're welders. Yeah. I are a welder. Yeah. and then we go weld for them all summer and, get our fill of pipe welding and don't have to bid it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've walked into a couple rooms lately where they're like, hey, we want to hand this off to you. We have this big pipe contract. And we're like, yeah, we could help you. We could bid the pipe work, but like, don't expect us to come in and bid all of your, this is a full mechanical, $1 billion contract for a tech company. I don't want to get involved in this.
Right.
It's so over my head. I need to know when to say I are welder.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. And you guys don't have bid limits in the state of Texas either, right?
No. I only bid above what's in the bank account if it's a contractor I trust, because I've been, you have your ups, you have your downs. Last year we were owed, $500,000, and you got to be able to operate. And so if you're bidding above what you have in your bank account, you get stuck with somebody that you're not comfortable with or whatever. You're fucked. You're setting yourself up. Go to the bank and ask for money just to make payroll. Yeah. So that's a scary place I don't want to be in. If I'm turning in bids that are bigger than what's in the account, it's because I know that that's a person that, is true to like, hey, we pay. It doesn't need to be like every Friday, but you pay on a regular net 60.
Right.
So I'm not going to be fighting you 190 days later that like, hey, I'm taking a fucking loan out from the bank because this one job, ran us into the ground because you swore you'd pay on time.
Yeah. And that 10% interest is eating up all my fucking profits at the same time, So
yeah, you want 10% retainage, they want fucking 10% interest.
Yeah, right.
What do I got?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll joke about it with my guys. We'll go like out on a site. I'm like, I wonder if they'll ever pay me for this job. Like, my oldest invoice right now is September 11th, 2020.
What the? Are you in court or what?
No, it's a custom. The school districts are finicky out here.
Oh, dude, they are here too. I can't stand working for them.
Yeah, you go out there and you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that on day one of a 3-year project. You're not getting paid for a very fucking long time.
Yeah,
and if you can't afford to play that game, don't fucking step on the field. Because I see a lot of guys around here, young bucks or guys new into it, like I was a couple years ago. I'm not knocking them for that, but like, yeah, these motherfuckers don't want to pay. I'm like, this is the arena you're in, dude.
This is SOP, yeah.
Yeah, either understand this is the game you're trying to play, or just go build, pipe fences. And if they don't pay, don't show up on Monday.
Right.
Because you're talking about a very different environment, and I'll find a way to complain about anything. So I'll still complain about it, but I mean, I still at the end of the day understand that's what I signed up for.
That's part of the game, yeah. I mean, because we've never had anything out that long. But we also haven't gotten involved in like a 3-year build or anything. Most of the stuff we're doing is tilt-ups or custom homes or whatever. The weird part is like the custom home market, we don't even really see any retention on those. It's not like being in the public works arena where they're holding 5 to 10%, but it's a different market, of course. But
maybe a smaller chain of command, from the owner. There's not like these investors and school and districts or public works, right. Superintendents or budget committees, and there's a homeowner, and then there's the GC they hire, and that's probably kind of a little bit more close knit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the fucked up part about the school districts and shit too, though, is that there's so many elected officials that are all trying to pitch their ideas into this realm of whatever the fuck is going on, that it's like the pissing match back and forth between the people that quote unquote have a say in it. We've dealt with a couple of school projects, and come to find out there's some really shady stuff put into those fucking contracts too. Like, they're not in your favor.
I can only imagine. I try to read them the best I can, but that's the whole thing, right? It's like when you start seeing contracts that would have made you like really your guts turn a couple of years ago, right? You give it a second look. Yeah. You see, like, what are they really holding me to? What dates? What scope of work? That type of stuff. Right. But, I mean, it's all about who you work with, who you trust. So you get with some GCs that you really trust. They're not going to go against what you bid for the job, and they're going to pay on time. I don't know. Maybe it's complacency. You start to get a little comfortable with them.
Well, that's one of those things, like, go out drinking with those guys. If you find a really good, like...
Don't do that. We talked about that.
Dude, I've met so many other contractors that way, because they all have this little bubble that they live in, like the guys that are high quality, high performers, they all hang out, and then you meet them at a bar in Reno after a fucking pre-job walk or something, and then you meet this other guy that's one of the other guys that's bidding against it, and they're like, hey, you want to throw us a number too? Like, this guy over here said you're pretty good. You want to throw us a number? See if we're competitive? And I'm like, okay, cool, sure. Then you kind of weasel your way in there. Contracts are written on the golf course, bro.
I called another story for you, Josh, because Nate knows this story. I called Nate about a year ago. I go, hey, man, just want to pick your brain. He was probably on a site or on the road. I was on the road. I said, hey, we have this another contractor. Not sure what the deeper motives are. Not sure where this came from. A little bit out of left field, but they want to partner with us. They want to do jobs together, start taking on a certain scope. We take on a certain scope and kind of stick to that. What do you think about that? You ever been approached about something like that? He's like, man, if I've ever learned anything about stuff like this, this is my best Nate impression. I know. Dude, right out of the gate, he goes, you got to go out and get fucked up with him. And I was like, dude, I don't know. I came to you for advice. I'm not gonna say that's bad advice. No, you gotta go get fucked up with him. He goes, I'm telling you. I was like, well, I was thinking about doing like a job or two with him. He said, yeah, you could do that, but you gotta go get fucked up with him.
Hey, you
Take
find
them out to
out.
the bar, find out what they're really about.
If you would have done that, you would have found out real fucking quick, huh?
Yeah. I would have found out quicker.
I'm just glad to know that if you're Nate, if you're ever not available, I'm gonna call Deryk, and they'll never know it's not you.
Yeah. Just have him on the podcast from now on.
Hey, Josh, it's me, Nate.
I'm fucking great.
Yeah, just make sure you say fuck a lot.
Can you hear my beard through the phone?
Oh, fuck, that's great.
Deryk, I'm curious over the last couple years, as a business owner and as a leader, what do you think's been the most significant lesson learned for you?
I wasn't ready. It's like when they ask Miss America pageant like questions.
Just standing there, deer in the headlights.
Murder the question. I'm gonna say, as a business owner, those are two different lessons. So as a leader and a business owner, two different things. So as a business owner, I've learned to know what room I'm walking into, know who's in the room. You know what I mean? Know who I am, know who else is in the room. And, you walk in, you're either going to fucking say your piece and stand your ground, or you walk in and you know you're going to get your ass handed to you and you take the ass chewing. My guys, maybe from time to time think I'm hard on them, or maybe not. I don't know. But I get my ass chewed and get my fucking lunch eaten by somebody else all the time. And it's not about being a coward or not standing your ground or anything. You got to know when you're walking into a room that you're there for a reason. You're either there to say, hey, we got this. We know what we're doing. Show us what you want us to do. Show us all your problems. I got, 10 solutions for 10 problems. Fucking show them to me. If you're walking into that room and you know that and you can deliver that message, great. Sometimes you walk into a room and it's, hey, motherfucker, here's 10 things you fucked up and here's 10 ass chewings, and you take them. And if you approach every room you walk into the same, you will fail. You will, maybe have a 50-50 chance? You're going to walk in and be the, biggest dick swinging or smallest. Like, sometimes you have to know, like, I'm walking in here to get my ass chewed, or I'm walking in here to learn something, to teach something, to get my ass chewed, to chew ass. Like, the guys that walk into every room the same eventually will fail, because you've worked with those guys. And it's like
brilliant. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because like you work with the guys that approach every single situation the same, like, ain't nobody going to tell me shit. It's like, well, then eventually you're going to fucking fail, because eventually there's somebody that is going to try to teach you something or needs to hand you your ass, and you're not going to be ready for it. And then you're either not going to learn something, you're not going to take the message they're trying to give you. They're not going to see that you're understanding, the value in what they're saying, that like, hey, we're not trying to, beat your company up, but we just need you to be doing this. And, well, I don't fucking listen to anybody that wears a suit and tie to work. You know what I mean? Like,
I like that. That's the only time your fucking Texas accent comes out.
Dude, that's not my Texas accent.
No.
Yeah.
How did you learn that lesson?
I guess just either the cocky person would say, walking into a room and seeing somebody act like that, but the honest person in me, I guess, saying walking into a room and acting the wrong way.
Okay.
And then a year later, a month later, maybe getting in your truck and leaving that meeting like, damn, I acted like the wrong person. I wasn't assigned. I didn't understand the assignment. I walked into that room and fucked that up. I walked in there supposed to be getting an ass chewing, and I went in there acting like King Dick. And now they all are sitting in there like, hey, why don't you all stay after this meeting? And they're like, how can we fucking get rid of this guy? You know what I mean? Right. Like, if you can't get your ass humbled every now and then, you're going to lose money. So what's it about? Like, your pride or your business? Like, your pride or the guys that work for you having a check? So, I mean, I don't know.
I'm all for it.
Hey, you want to keep walking in every single room the same way? Like,
no,
power to you
for that not being a preloaded question. That was, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Now, what about the leadership side?
there's a fucking second part.
You broke it
split
up.
it up.
I split it up. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're expecting
Leadership.
something as equally as brilliant, so no pressure. But
Well, Nick's coming on next week, so let me see. I do declare. Leadership. The biggest thing I've learned about leadership is watching people lead that are proud of what they do, high performers, extremely skilled, but it's not their money. I've noticed that about myself. I've noticed that about my guys. I don't know how to separate this other than just saying business owners need to get the fuck out of the field, because I can only effectively lead when I have money. Like or when it's not my money. That's the best two leaders, is when it's not their money or they're fucking rich. Because Richard Branson walks in and goes, everything great in here, all right, well, fucking, I'm out of here. Or like a dude that is not his money walks in the same way, like, everything good in here, okay. The good leader is not worried about like what his time teaching or like implementing new systems, like testing things out, basically like the R&D of something. Oh, what's this going to cost the company? You know what I mean? Because I look at like my past as before I was a business owner as a leader. And I think I had this conversation with one of my guys recently that like, I think the best leadership ability I ever had was when I was working for a huge company that just kind of handed me the reins and said, you're a welder, but you're also running a crew at a really high performance percentage. Why don't you just run that crew? We're going to kind of like pull a foreman off this crew. And I was like, this is great. I was young. I was hungry, like wanting to teach people on my crew things that I had learned, wanting to, help people out, like pass along anything I could. It wasn't my money. I didn't care what time it took. I was trying to build a stronger crew. But when you're broke, out of options, out of time, you're seeing all the little things start adding up. You can't be an effective leader. So like, I want to hand off my leadership. I'm trying to improve my leadership abilities from a macro level, not a micro level. I want to manage.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I want to be a better manager for the people I expect to manage. So like, I want to lead them and hope that they hear somewhere in all the bullshit, like what I'm trying to say, and then they lead their people because it's not their money. It's, this is what Deryk would want. He's not here to see the little mistakes. He wants a stronger team overall. And I know that if we take this an hour out of our day and he's not here to see it and bitch about it, that this hour out of our day might cost a little bit, but it's going to strengthen our team overall. If Deryk's there, he's like, what the fuck? How do we lose an hour on this? That's, 12.5% of your day. How did you lose 12.5% of your, like, well, we were putting in new systems. Like, it's not his money. It's just different when it's not your money.
When you, and what you've alluded to it a couple times, people can operate at that level when you're not micromanaging them.
Yeah. I mean, but as long as you micromanage them in the beginning so that they understand kind of what your expectations are, I completely agree with that. Get the fuck out of the way. You don't need to be in there bird dogging the fuck out of some greenhorn. That's not your goddamn job.
And we've done it, right?
Oh yeah, I still fucking do it. I still do it, and I get on here and tell everybody not to do it.
Yeah, I was in the shop yesterday with the guy we hired Monday, and I put him in the field today, and was like, told somebody else manage him. I need to see how he does when it's not me. You know what I mean? Because like, it's not fair for him for it to be me in the shop with him all day, and it's not fair for me to be dealing. Like, I'm going to look at him critically. He's going to look at me skeptically. Like, is this the leader I want to work for? And I'm going to be thinking, is this the kid I want working for me?
Yeah. But in reality, most of the time he's not going to be working. You're not going to be his leader operationally anyway.
Right.
And what can happen is you're right. You end up being critical. He ends up being skeptical. But the other thing that happens is if you are the one onboarding him, it creates this false sense of direct communication from that individual to you that he doesn't have to go through his leader. He doesn't have to do this. Be like, well, Deryk's the one that hired me. Deryk's the one that onboarded me. Like, I talked to him.
You're going to get these dumbass phone calls about the dumbest shit that doesn't fucking pertain to you.
And it's like, why are you? No, you've got to let your leaders lead, and then you can interject yourself intermittently through that process. That way, you still have that kind of that synergy of leadership throughout. But Nate's right. If you're spending your time onboarding a greenhorn and you have a team, you don't need to be doing that.
Well, you worked okay. So like Nate with your company. Is still small enough. My company is still very small. And Josh, when you had your HVAC company, you wear a lot of different hats, right?
Absolutely.
So every now and then you put on that micromanage hat and you wear it for a few minutes before you catch yourself being a fucking prick.
Yep.
And then you take the hat off and go, God, like that's not my job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, like, I'm just a fucking dick when I put on the micromanage hat because it's my money. I'm looking at every single minute that goes by, and I'm out in the shop or out in the field, like, criticizing or critiquing or trying to find better ways at every little thing that these guys, I trust them. I'm paying them to find these better ways of doing things, more efficient ways, safer ways, whatever in the field. I shouldn't be the one out there trying to, like, nitpick their shit. But when you're a small company, you find yourself wearing that hat a little bit too often.
Yeah. Well, I also think that that's a good way, like, to get to the point where if you're the one leading the leaders and you go out there and you micromanage a fucking greenhorn, they're going to be like, what the fuck, dude? You don't trust me or what? Like, you don't think I can do it? Like, why are you out here doing my fucking job?
Yeah, that's true.
That's going to stir up some animosity there,
Yeah, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant.
Me? Yeah, I know. Thank you.
Yeah, it'd been a couple weeks since I got to tell you that face to face, and I wanted someone to bear witness.
Well, I'm just trying to follow up Deryk over here. He's trying to fucking impress Mr. Bizade, so it's like everybody's firing on all cylinders tonight,
Yeah, you guys fucked up by telling me he was coming on next week.
He's like, oh, let me get my scholar hat on. Damn.
Well, when I go out to a job, here's how I handle it. Okay. Every problem, I have 10 solutions before I even finish my coffee.
Oh, it's awesome.
I knew your problems before you even knew you had them.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to ask me because I already know.
Jesus. Deryk, is there anything that we didn't discuss or cover that you would like to add, or anything that you want to bring in?
No, I'll listen back to this, and I'm sure I'll call you guys. Okay. Can you soundbite this in?
Make it sound really smart.
Yeah, I got a better way to say this. No, we just sit here and bullshit for an hour, then you guys put it on the air, so it's up to you.
That's how our conversations are.
Yeah, we just come in unscripted and shoot the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the fun part about having, especially having you on. It's like the same conversations kind of pop up all the time, and they pop up in different lights, right? And your idea about the money with the fucking leadership that's fucking brilliant, and I really appreciate you brought that up because it clicked with me the moment you said it, because there's been times where, like, Garrett, who's our shop foreman, I'm like, dude, why the fuck isn't he doing this, or why did he buy this or that? And it's like, well, he's getting everybody everything they need, the shit that I neglected half the time. They're like, hey, we need this, and I'm like, oh, I'll fucking get to it. And I'm like, we don't fucking need that.
Yeah,
but yes, they did fucking need it,
Yeah, giving your guys a little spending account or a company card or something goes a long way. And just, hey, here's the limit on the card. If you need it, go buy it. Mm-hmm. And you tell me if I see it's a crazy purchase, I'm going to ask you why you bought it. If you have a good reason, then you're not going to hear shit from me.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had a $500 tool. They needed to do that job, and they went out and bought it. And, I mean, yeah, what's $500 versus slowing down a whole job?
Right.
So, I mean, just – I don't know.
I think a lot of leaders have a hard time relinquishing that part of the responsibility of the job is the money, is letting somebody have the ability to buy. But if you put quality leaders into place, you should fucking trust them to do that, right?
Well, what that comes in with is when you give someone responsibility but not authority. Mm-hmm. See, money comes with authority. When you have the authorization to spend money to support your responsibility, that has to be part of the package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up creating a position of failure because they have all of these responsibilities,
And
but no authority to make a decision without your permission. And create boundaries, whether that's operational, whether that's financial. Create boundaries and allow your team to operate within those boundaries. And when they need to step outside of those boundaries, they can have a conversation with you and go, "Hey, this is coming up. This is what we need. Based on my research, this is the best tool, and it's $2,000." Or, "Hey, we need to do this." But anyway, it's like those boundaries. Something that you said earlier, Deryk, was when you hired the full-time estimator and you got your evenings back. Boundaries is something I talk a lot about with leaders, and you have to set those. Are there times where you just absolutely have to go hard in the paint and you're going to put in 12 to 20-hour days? Absolutely. That's part of owning a business. That's part of building a business and building a brand and a team. But the sustainability of that, what you're going to sacrifice is going to far outweigh what you gain. And having those operational boundaries, and this was a lesson that I learned the really hard way, and I have those operational boundaries today because I learned outside of certain situations, if I can't get it done in 10 hours, I'm not going to get it done in 11 or 12. That little bit of incremental time to invest in that when you are mentally exhausted, when you are physically fatigued, it's like,
or you will get it done, you'll fuck it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Because now the only thing you're doing is focus on getting it done. So having those operational boundaries for yourself as a leader and as a business owner, it gives you the opportunity to be intentional about the time that you spend with your family, with your social circle, with the gym, with whatever it is that you're doing. But if we talk about this often. If it's a give and take relationship with your business, your business will take from you, and it will fucking take everything from you.
I mean, people got killed by their businesses, fucking had a stroke or a heart attack or fucking just off themselves. Like
yeah.
And so Deryk, you're talking about like, man, it's 8:30, and you're watching some Netflix with the wife, having a drink, getting to re-experience the value of that. Is fucking brilliant. It's priceless. It's absolutely priceless. And now that you've gained that back, and good on her for supporting, and waiting for those moments to come back. But it's like, now what's attainable. And I think it's important for business owners, especially small business owners, because like Deryk said, we wear a bunch of different hats. It's important that people understand that. But if you're just reactive and you have a give and take relationship with the business and you give and the business takes, you're never going to get out of that. And you'll end up losing everything.
Yep.
Yeah. And we've all tasted that the hard way. Some people live it for years and they either can't see the light at the end of the tunnel or just dig deeper, romanticize the long nights and the grind, and this is just what I do, and it's sad, dude. People can lose a lot, and it's taught me a lot of like appreciation. That like instead of being like, man, I'm not trying to like stand on this pedestal that I spent so many years trying to build the business up before I hired an estimator, before I got anyone else involved in like what I do. It's more of like, man, I reached a goal within a certain amount. If I was to be like gloating, like, man, in 6 years, I took the business point I could hire an estimator. I got my fucking life back. And my wife noticed, like, you're home more. You have your like, and I know, I finally took something back before it took it from me. And it's really, really hard to see other business owners. It makes me really sad because like I see other business owners that let it take, and I'm just like, dude, like fucking take something, like get something from the business to just feel like you got something. When I hired an estimator, he may just think it's a salary position. He just takes a little bit of my workload, but it was like, I've told him like, He's like, oh, I'm so grateful for this job. And I'm like, dude, you fucking no fucking clue. Like, bro, like you gave me my sanity back.
Mm-hmm.
Just like putting you on payroll for 40 hours a week, like your 40 hours saved me 60 hours. Like you said, you know, if you're not going to get it done, you get it done at 10, you're going to work 12 and probably still not get it done.
Yeah.
But it's late night in the office. You got to get a bid done. You do a fucking 20-hour day. And it's just a shitty half-ass job. You hire a full-time estimator who's got a fresh cup of coffee at 7 a.m. digging into it. He's going to do a way better job.
Yeah. And like I said, there are times where you do have to spend those days and you do have to spend those hours. But, you know, what you're describing in how people operate, they take pride in that being their identity, right? Like how many people take pride and be like, oh, man, I work 16 hours a day building this business. It's like, okay, great, but at what cost?
Right.
And
but that's not the argument that they want to hear. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're right.
That's the thing is like dude, I've been there and I know guys like that.
Same.
I've been so proud of I'll outwork anybody. I don't give a fuck. Like, and you're not talking about who's got the most neglected wife and whose kids know them the least. Like, I work harder. You know what I mean? And like you stand on it. So who was it? You guys had somebody on. He was not a marketing guy. He was a Canadian. He like connected contractors to like I think it was like a website. Like
was that Phil Pulse?
Yeah, it was Phil Pulse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no. The not Phil Pulse. The damn it.
I don't know.
It's not
why.
the contractors fight. It's the other guy.
Why am I drawing a blank?
Fuck.
I don't know how long ago it was. I'll have to look it up. He specifically said that like it's sad to see how many people like make that they blend like who they are with what they do, and we've all done it. But some people like never stop living it. And he was saying that he's like that one kind of spoke to me.
Profit for contractors.
Him on. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. And it's dude, it is. It'll fucking take from you. Yep. It'll eat you alive.
Dude, because nobody's going to sit there on their fucking deathbed, which with as rampant as cancer is and all this other shit that's fucking trying to kill us. If you're on your deathbed in your fucking 50s and you spent 20 years building this fucking business, you're not going to think about the 18-hour fucking days that you put in. That's going to be the furthest thing from your mind. You're going to be thinking about all the shit that you didn't fucking do.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you're fucking in it.
You're in it.
Yep.
The three of us know it. We've all been in it. So you have to get out of it to see when somebody's stuck in it.
You know, and man, I don't know how much time you got, but this is something that, like, and I'll probably still make an entire episode out of what I'm about to talk about. But so I think back to my grandpa Chuck, and anybody that listens to the podcast, we've talked about Grandpa Chuck, and that. He told me one time, so he worked at coal mines, retired from the coal mines, and he told me one time he went 3 years without ever missing a day. And I'm not talking about weekends off. I'm talking 7 days a week for 3 years straight working the coal mines. And because that was his identity. And where there has been a shift, and this is where I want to get this, there has been a shift because when you look at that generation, my Grandpa Chuck died in 2016 at age 2018 at age 86. Okay, so you look at that generation, and then the generation following him, the baby boomers, all right, which my parents are baby boomers. It was their identity to be a provider. Okay, now so my grandmother didn't work. She was a housewife because that's what my grandfather wanted her to do. He provided. And then she was a stay-at-home wife and mother. All right. The shift that has happened is, and I'm going to talk specifically to, you know, the men of the house. The provider-only role doesn't work anymore. You have to operate in a supportive role. And that transition to going from provider to supporter, it's a change in identity. The people that brag that they're, you know, they have that identity, the people that brag, what we're talking about, that work the 12, 14, 16 hours a day, grinding it out, allowing their business to take from them, and they're sacrificing the quality of their health, their relationships, their longevity, are still operating in a provider role mindset.
A lot of people just don't fucking know any better. You know, they're not listening to the cues from their
so
people.
That's my point, right? So and that is my point. If you look at my grandfather, and then you look at my father, and you look at me, we were taught to operate in a provider role, not a supportive role. That supportive role changes everything about the quality of your relationship with the people at home.
There's a certain amount of fulfillment of like achieving a job, achieving a goal, like setting out to do something and doing it. So it's like we want to be like we want to justify our lifestyle, kind of be like the hero of your own story. You don't ever want to be like, I'm working myself to death and I'm a bag of shit. You want to say like dirty hands, clean money. You know what I mean? Like
damn it.
It's, I'm just, it's to make something beautiful and like romanticize something that is so difficult and taking so much from us, and you know, your time with your family, your mental health, your time out on the road, your physical health, everything, and to feel like you're doing it for a reason makes you not go insane.
But you can
because you've been stuck in the grind, and if you can justify it even in your own head, it keeps you from going insane.
But you can still accomplish the same level of success in a supportive role because you're going to have equal support from the people around you. Operating in a provider role ostracizes you from everybody else.
It's every man for himself in the provider
That's
role.
Right.
Yeah. You do need to do another episode about this.
Yeah, that's a full length episode for sure.
And I'm probably not the guest for that. I'm not qualified enough.
You're the spark for it, Deryk.
Yeah, but our welder.
But that's the reason I bring it up is because that's something that I've been dealing with some of my clients recently, and either the owner as a owner, operator, leader, or some of the people on their team. And when I start psychoanalyzing the people on their team, I ask questions. I'm like, those kind of tell me behaviors, and I'll be like, what's their dad like? What's their parent role like? And it's like, it's like provider, and they expect the individual to behave that way. So there's no,
I did all this shit for you. Why aren't you doing the things I asked you to do?
So there's this standard and expectation that they'll never reach, and it really inhibits their ability to grow and operate as an individual and as a leader. So that's a reason I bring it up. It's like recognizing that you have to make that transition. And again, this is something I suffered from severely because I had the exact same mindset. Like you will fucking die before you outwork me. And that was how I approached the market every day.
Nowadays we're just like, okay, go ahead.
Well, it's not that you're working less. It's just that you're for instance, me and Nate, if you can wear less hats, you will wear each one of them better. So you're going to either wear 15 hats as a business owner and say, I wear 15 fucking hats every day. Okay, cool. But you do every one of them at, 12% capacity. How about you wear 4 hats? Like, of course, everyone can't do this. That's why I said I did it. I started hiring people I needed when I had the money to. But when I was able to wear less hats, I could focus on doing better at what I need to be doing rather than focusing on doing everything I possibly can at whatever capacity I could possibly push out.
And you definitely got to eat those shit sandwiches along the way, right? Like you had to wear those 15 hats to know what those 15 hats look like in order to find people to wear them for you. Absolutely.
It's not a step you could skip over.
That's right.
Yeah.
If somebody starts a business thinking they're going to wear one hat, they're out of their mind.
Dude, that's tech startup 101. They fucking take investor money and they just, we're going to hire all these people that do all these things. And I'm just an orchestrator of all these people. And it's like, you don't even know what you're fucking building right now. Like,
somebody in the organization needs to know how to do somebody else's job to check them. Because if everybody has only ever wore one hat, then you don't know if somebody's wearing theirs wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucking hat analogies.
Yeah. You guys look ridiculous with your 15 hats.
Well, this is something. So when my former business partner and I started the HVAC business, day one for me, there was 5 of us in that company. I started with a 5-man team because I had worked and was acquaintances with single owner operators in the HVAC industry, which is that's fucking psychotic. When you do installs all day, and then in the evening you have to run service calls, and then at night you do proposals, and then you're having to answer the phone. Like, who the fuck would want to do that? Right? Because it's in that industry, everything is an emergency. I didn't want anything to do with that. So I knew from day one that I wanted a team. I figured out how to build one. And I mean, looking back now, it's quite comical how low my leadership capacity was, but we still did it. But I didn't go into that company as a single owner operator wearing every hat. But I did go into that company involved in every hat wearing, everyone, every position, probably micromanaging from the beginning. But even the struggle that I had with a team, like I wanted a bigger team, and I wanted more. I wanted to be able to delegate more and create. So we had departments. I had an install department, I had a service maintenance department, I had a sales department, and once we got up to 12 was our sweet spot, but that 12 to 15 for us in our area, like, we were a fucking monster to deal with, because everybody knew what their role was, and everybody came in, showed up every day doing the things that they wanted to do, and operated at a level that, I mean, nobody is excused from some level of management, right? Like, everybody fucks up. That's just that's just a reality of it. But as you guys are talking about, starting, it's like I did jumpstart some of that, but I also had to rewrite a lot of those responsibilities and roles.
You had to tailor those hats.
Yeah, I did, because it was like, well, this isn't working at all. This is the worst fucking idea possible.
Well, it sounds like your ability to do them all, like, allowed you to learn to delegate those.
That's
so
true.
Like you were able to take one hat off at a time and start handing them out and say, I know how to do this, but now it's your job. I know how to do this. Now it's your job. But the people that you were delegating them to knew, like, almost not expectation or shoes to fill or anything like that, but like that you had previously done that job. You previously had learned whatever it was that you were handing off to them. So like, they can't fuck it off and fuck it up and get away with it.
They can't bullshit their way through it.
Yeah, Josh will know.
Yeah.
Like, he gave me this just to get it off his plate. He didn't give me this because he didn't know how to do it, and thinks that I do. Is that now I have to learn this to basically learn it to the capacity that Josh was able to do it while doing other of his tasks he's trying to hand off.
That's an accurate observation. Yeah,
I'm very observant.
It's very. But you're 100% right.
He are welder.
I are observant.
We got to wrap this up.
Yeah. Papa's hungry.
Yeah.
I got kids screaming.
Yeah.
I got really good headphones. You guys can't hear them.
Deryk, it's good to see you again. I know you and Nate talk often enough, but it's good to see you again. I appreciate you coming back on here. And to see the growth that you've experienced just as an individual in the last couple of years is very noticeable for me. And just what you're sharing and the way that you can articulate it and the experiences and lessons that you've learned. So I appreciate you coming on here, sharing that story and continuing to, kind of be on this ride and journey with us.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate being on here. I'm just trying. We're all trying, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get back on here in 2 years and be like, man, we didn't know what the fuck we were talking about back then.
Absolutely true.
We should have just stuck with our idea to talk about weather the whole time.
Right. Weathers and welders.
My brother, anything?
No,
Closing?
man, I'm good. Deryk, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Deryk, is it still at Hot Shot Welding?
Yeah, Hot Shot Welding. Email is contact@hotshotspecialtywelding.com. You can reach Nate Newton at Nate Newton. Oh, that's your line. Sorry, go ahead.
He nailed the cue.
Yeah,
he nailed it.
Sure did. He knew what was going on.
Dude, it's good to have you back in here.
Hell yeah, I'll be back next week too.
Yeah, I know. It's I'm excited about that.
Right before your brother's fucking amazing birthday blowout, we're renting a castle in Arnold, California, and taking Nerf guns up there, and I can't wait to be around that crew because it's going to be constant shit talking. Like,
like world championship level.
Oh, dude,
shit
everybody's
talking.
so fucking quick-witted in that group too.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. The place that he got for his birthday is called Castle on the Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Castle by the Lake.
It's
It's
got
fucking
3
enormous.
wings on it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna be crazy. I'm really looking forward to that. And like I said, it's good to have you back in here, man. We go a couple of weeks. I've done some interviews and some solos, and we're kind of on an interview roll here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to take us and moving forward. So you can find Nate Newton on Instagram at Nate Newton 87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Emails thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.